And we are back, and we just finished watching 3,000 Years of Longing from 2022, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour and 48 minutes. This is from director George Miller, with writing credits to George Miller, Augusta Gore, and based on A.S. Byatt's short story, The Djinn in the Nightingale's Eye. This is the story of Althea, played by the always wonderful Tilda Swinton, who, while in Istanbul doing, I guess, a lecture, starts seeing things in a crowd and passes out, and is talking to her colleague, who takes her, I guess, to the Turkish markets, where he insists on getting her a gift to, I guess, commemorate her time there. And she picks up this bluish glass bottle.
Like a blue and white striped little glass vase that looks sort of warped a little.
Yeah. And she brings it to her hotel, and then lo and behold, she's trying to clean it with her toothbrush. Which I found really disgusting. And then ta-da, out pops the genie, played by Idris Elba, who then tells her these fantastical tales of how he had spent 3,000 years in that bottle, and the things that had happened in between. What'd you think?
I thought it was good. Definitely not my favorite George Miller film.
No. But as always, visually stunning.
Yes, absolutely.
And very strange characters and situations, and
it's absolutely not a conventional type of story.
No, it's like a fairy tale for adults, kind of.
Very much. One thing I enjoyed was the stories that the genie was telling. And how they were shown. I mean, everything was just gorgeous.
Pitch perfect, yeah.
And it goes so far back, like, Sheba and Solomon, and
hundreds of thousands of years.
And the way the effects they had on the genie, the way he would just sort of dissolve or turn into smoke, or even when he was just standing and I guess, I don't know what he was doing, like absorbing stuff out of the air. Really well done.
Really well done.
Yeah. And it's just like I said, an interesting story, and how Tilda Swinton is, obviously she's an expert on stories like this. So it's interesting that the genie came into her possession, because her whole life is basically, well, what does she call herself? A narratologist or something like that? Yeah. Studying narratives and stories, and how they're repeated, and how the mythology of ancient times has sort of changed and evolved, and now it's like, okay, now we have superheroes. And to her, probably anybody else would have just gone screaming into the hallway as soon as this, because he doesn't appear like as a normal guy. No. He is gigantic. He's filling up her entire hotel room. Before he decides to, I guess, even himself out and make himself look normal. And she's just totally convinced that, I know about Djinn, and I know that the wishes never work out. It's always some sort of
disaster, catastrophe,
some sort of like thing. Oh, I want to live forever, and then but you'll continue to grow old, or something like that. Some terrible fate will befall you. Yeah. But he is very earnest in trying to convince her that no, I just want to give the 3 wishes, so this way I can move on. Because I guess he's bound to this earth until he's able to deliver the 3 wishes. And throughout his history, these 3,000 years, most of it is spent inside the little bottle, or a bottle. When he does get to come out, it's something always botches it, and 3 wishes are never granted. I think the most you get is 2, and then something messes up. He's trapped in the bottle again. So he's trying to convince her, and in order to convince her, she wants to know more about him. She basically says, if we're going to have this exchange, we should know each other very well. And that's how we learn about the genie's history, how he was in love with Sheba, and she basically, he was like an afterthought to her almost. That was a very unrequited love. Yeah. And he basically gets banished to the bottle by Solomon, who has these magic powers of his own. And then
He's down there for a while.
That was a nice sequence. He's just in the bottle, thrown out the window, caught by a falcon, carried out to the middle of the ocean, thrown into the Red Sea, and where he stays for a very long time, to the point where the little bottle is just, it looks like a rock. Yeah. It's actually used in a wall.
Yeah.
And that's where the next person finds
him. Yeah.
And you hear about that person's story. Right. And once again, he is abandoned and left hidden. And you hear about the next person's story, who doesn't really even use him at all.
No.
It's just he's like there, and he startles somebody so much that they basically say, go back to whatever.
Yeah.
Like, get back in your bottle or something like that. So yeah, the story, that part of the story, I think I enjoyed more. I enjoyed that more, rather than, I guess, the inevitable conclusion when Tilda Swinton actually makes her wishes. The ending, I guess, was kind of bittersweet. I mean, it was bittersweet.
Yeah.
But I guess it kind of made sense that she would ask for what she asked for. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, it to me, it just didn't seem fair.
Right. Because he kind of wanted to get on with it, and she sort of doesn't let him because of what she asks.
Yeah.
And then is she imposing her will on him?
That's the thing. It's like they do have this sort of bond over this sort of I guess inability to find love or have love that a love that is mutual. Like she had her relationship with, I forgot what the fellow's name was.
Jack, maybe was the husband.
His name was on a box.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that didn't work out for her. There was definitely some heartbreak there. They tell it in a they show it, the reasons for the breakup. I love when they do stuff like that, where they just show, they don't tell. You know.
Same.
That's the mark of a great storyteller.
Right, because you can always have exposition guy.
Yeah, she could have gone on and on. Oh, it didn't work out, and this happened, and that happened, and blah, 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 blah. No, it's like a little scrapbook, and she's flipping through the pages. You see the last page, you know what's going on, and that's it. So, yeah, there was like that mutual loneliness to it. But, yeah, it does feel like
she forced him into that situation.
Yeah, she was forcing him into something, because it wasn't just sort of like, hey, stick around.
Right.
It was like, I mean, love is a heavy emotion.
Yeah.
Love is something that like true love is like developed and nurtured and earned, and it's like powerful.
Yeah.
It's not something that you should just wish for.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because according to IMDb trivia or IMDb quotes, Althea says, "Love is a gift. It's a gift of oneself given freely. It's not something one can ever ask for."
Yeah, so she even knows, and yet she asks for it anyway. Yeah. And for me, that sort of
kind of diminishes the story a bit.
Yeah, it definitely hurts it.
Yeah, I agree. Another little fun fact from IMDb. Cinematographer John Seale came out of retirement for the second time to shoot this movie. He'd previously done so in 2012 to shoot George Miller's previous film, Mad Max Fury Road.
That's why it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, he's got the
eye.
He's got the magic, because both films are beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And you know what's funny? The prequel now is coming out. It's directed by George Miller, but if you look at the commercials, it's not there.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if this guy, he's like, no, I'm staying retired for this one.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it looks fine.
Right.
But there's definitely a lot more.
It doesn't look like a George Miller film.
It's definitely more
CG.
More CG, and it's, I mean, goddamn, Mad Max was gorgeous.
It was beyond anything.
So gorgeous. The colors and the cinematography.
For a film that does not rely on much dialogue, it's brilliance, right? Yeah. It tells the story. You know what's happening, even when no one says anything.
We should review that one.
We should.
Yeah, because that one is just, it's phenomenally well done.
I mean, right now, off the bat, 10 out of 10. No notes.
It would be very high up there for me.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean,
but back to this. Yes. Let's focus on this. This was as gorgeous.
Gorgeous, yeah.
That guy, he has an eye.
Yeah, for sure. And
George, it's a shame he's retired because that's some beautiful filmmaking.
And George Miller's an interesting storyteller. I mean, well, actually, do you know? Because, I mean, George Miller did the original, I guess, right?
Original
Mad Max movies.
Yeah.
But he also did Happy Feet and Babe.
Happy Feet. He also did Babe.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
That this guy has the same movies in his filmography.
I mean, I've never seen Happy Feet, but I have seen Babe.
Oh my gosh, I've seen Happy Feet. It's super cute.
Babe is gorgeous too.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Babe. I mean, I remember when the commercials came out and just seeing those little mice singing. I was just like, this looks fantastic. And I remember, I forgot who I told it to. I was like, that looks so fun. And they were just like, what's wrong with you, man?
Really?
I was like, what are you talking about? Look at the little mice.
Yeah, I saw that film, and it literally made me stop eating pork for years.
I could see why.
I was like...
That's one charismatic pig.
That sure was. Yeah. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Mm-hmm. God damn it. We should watch that with the kids.
Yeah.
That's such a great film.
You know what? Let's...
George Miller it up. All right, so getting back to 3,000 Years of Longing. So... I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I feel like it was okay. I think it gets additional points for being just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think my standout here, I love Tilda, but I think Idris Elba's the Djinn character and his storytelling was just chef's kiss. I think his stories in particular really shone. I mean, you don't really get much from Althea. She's just a captive audience. She's listening to the Djinn telling his tales of woe, of how he loved Sheba so much and she didn't give a shit about him. And he's cast aside. And then he meets, is it Gulton, who then wishes for these things. Mm-hmm. And she has this trajectory and he's begging her to make this wish.
Make your final wish.
And she just doesn't understand the severity of what's happening. And then the things that happen to her, and that sequence when he's trying to follow, and whatever that guy was that turned into, I guess, 1,000 bugs. Yeah. That was weird. So it was very fantastical, right? Like it's interesting because it's like, well, when does this take place, right? And then from that, he goes into the two brothers, Murad and Ibrahim, right? Mm-hmm. So their story. So that's, it's like, I would have loved to have just it been like a movie just about Genie telling stories.
Yeah, I mean, his performance is amazing.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, he's got that great voice.
Yeah.
And he's putting on some kind of accent that's just spot on perfect. If I somehow found a bottle with a genie on it, I'd want it to sound like that.
And look like him. Yes, absolutely.
Either
absolutely.
That or Bob Reed.
Because that's what we expect. Any other commentary about the film? I agree with you. I think that her final ask sort of turns the story, and it's not what I would have wanted. So I was a little disappointed there.
And then sort of like the ending just sort of like winds itself out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some issues occur, and you end up with the ending you get, and it's sort of like, all right, man.
Yeah. Here's this guy who had like this fantastical life to sort of like end it on just a very blah note, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we'll grow old together. Sure. But every once in a while I have to go away and recharge.
Yeah. It's it's kind of a wet fart of an ending.
Kind of. It still looked pretty though.
Looked pretty. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if I was going to give this a number from 1 to 10, I guess I'd give it a 6.
I too would give it a 6, and it's mainly because of just the amazing visuals and Idris Elba's performance, and otherwise it would just be kind of like very average. Those things kick it up a point,
a notch or two. Yeah, so I think that's because of Idris' just fantastical performance and just the visuals. John Seal, the cinematographer, did a bang up job. George Miller, obviously the director, kind of helming the ship, does a great job. It wasn't a strong ending. I would have preferred something better. I've never read the short story, so I can't really speak on it. I have no clue what that's about, but it obviously inspired Miller to make this film. it's kind of an interesting idea, the story of the oral history of this genie, but it sort of fell flat at the end. I think if they had just sort of done it like, 1001 Arabian Nights, just be the Djinn just telling stories, I think I would have liked that much better. Yeah. But, it is what it is. I think
like it felt like the Djinn was the main character, but he was sidelined in his own story by the fact that Tilda Swinton was actually the main character of the movie.
Yeah, because she's the one that starts.
She's the protagonist. She is the protagonist of the film, even though it's, I would say, 2/3 of the movie is Idris Elba telling his history.
Yeah.
So it's a bit disjointed there.
Yeah.
The story is a bit broken.
Yeah. I think they still could have told the same story. Just make her be the side character who's just listening to this Djinn. Like, she finds this bottle, she rubs it trying to figure out what it is. All of a sudden this genie pops out, right? Yeah. And then just have the genie like talk to her and tell her his oral history. I guess maybe it's a love story.
Yeah. And maybe just like move her to the point where she's just like, all right, I'll ask for 3 things and then
you can be free. Yeah. And do what she was proposing to do. Let me have a nice cup of tea, maybe have some nice biscuits to go with it. Oh,
well, he couldn't. He said no. It has to be your heart's desire.
Oh,
that was the catch, because he could have just done that, given her tea and biscuits, but it was he actually sort of got mad. He was just like, no, your heart's desire.
Yeah. In this country, we call them cookies.
So I guess maybe that's why she had to ask for that. I don't know.
Could have been something more.
She had to have something else in her life that she would have wanted. I mean, especially somebody with like an intellectual. I mean, I got to be honest. What was the name of the woman that the genie fell in love with?
Zephira.
Zafira. If I mean, that's I want ultimate knowledge.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'll give me mastery of whatever I've put my focus on.
Yeah.
Boom, done. That would be great.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta fix the toilet's backed up. Plumbing, master plumber. There's a crack in the deck, master carpenter.
How do I get rid of these ants?
How do I get rid of these goddamn ants? Master exterminator. There you go.
Yeah. Why did she ask for that?
I know. That's seriously, that would have been it.
And I feel
delicious
like
chicken, master chef.
And I feel like having relationships wasn't important to her.
No, she said she liked being solitary and alone.
Right.
But so I guess secretly that really wasn't what she wanted. It's just maybe some people are just built certain ways.
Yeah.
And even though she lived this life and she was like very comfortable in it, there was still that thing that was missing, which kind of makes sense when you see the end of her relationship with
Jack. I think it was Jack.
Jack or Jeff or whatever.
I think it was Jack.
Because that was, I mean, it's got to hurt.
Oh, sure. He moved on.
He's, the next time she sees him, he's just laughing with some co-ed or whatever.
Yeah. Did we give our numbers?
6s.
Oh, 6s, right. I completely forgot there for a minute. I'm like zoning out. I'm super tired. It's after midnight. We should wrap this up. So yes, we saw this on Prime, but it's also playing on MGM Plus. I would say if you are a George Miller fan, you should definitely check it out just to keep on top of his filmography.
It's a gorgeous movie.
It is a gorgeous film.
I would say if you're like us, I would say 2/3 of the film you were
super entertained.
It
is like candy.
The story of the genie is just beautiful. Oh my, everything looks great in this movie.
Yeah. Well done to everybody.
It's just a little
clunky.
Clunky. Yeah, there you go. Clunky.
Yeah. All right. So 6 and 6, if you are so inclined, check it out. If not,
Paddington 2 is always
out there somewhere. Absolutely. We haven't talked about Paddington 2 in a while. We should actually get back on that. Although there's stuff what we've seen recently that I feel like I would give a shout out to, like Dream Scenario. I totally enjoyed.
Dream Scenario is good. Yeah.
I really, really liked Past Lives. I really liked Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah, it was all right.
Those were good.
Those are good, yeah, but not something I'd be like, oh, you must see.
Mutant Mayhem.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Excellent. Go see that one.
Go see that one.
Yeah.
All right. So there's other stuff you can watch, but just give it a whirl. It's not.
You probably won't be sorry.
Yeah, you probably won't be sorry. Yeah, it goes by quick. I feel like. All right. And with that, we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.